There are plenty of reasons to be bullish in crypto, baby dolls. I'm going to start by telling you green candles are destined for us in the future, and we're going to go very serious today. That's why I have my Jigglypuff hat. Hello, everybody. Jigglypuff. Now, friends, today I'm actually going to show you the godfather of this global liquidity theory and all these. So, Mikey Howell, okay? And we're going to go through this clip. But first, friends, I just want to show you this, okay? Recent crypto bullish events, okay? Things that keep us bullish, okay? So we had Germany. So the sexy German ladies, they finished jumping their Bitcoin. Now they're going for a wipe. Family-friendly show. Like, subscribe. Now we have Mt. Gox, you know, all these things we got to work through. And a lot of people will say it's the most bullish event ever. Why? Because they're like, finally, Mt. Gox has been lurking for like 10 years. Now we can finally get rid of it. Okay. You also have the Bitcoin spot ETF has been strong, and we've got Ethereum ETF coming. That's very, very important as well. The next thing, okay, Donald Trump now has a 70% chance to win, and he's speaking at the Bitcoin convention at the end of July. So he wants to lower the corporate tax rate down to 15%. So whether he gets that exact number or not, who cares, okay? When you lower the tax rate, you increase the projection of expected profits, which is earnings, and the stock market meme is everything is based off this cash flow stuff within the fiat system. So the valuations go tick up higher, and when they tick up higher, the liquidity bucket of crypto has an onflow of that, and we are basically whoosh, slingshot leverage to the moon. So it basically reprices us higher. Beautiful. We also have FTX, friends. FTX is sending $16 billion to customers. So it's in USD. Okay. So also we've got tokenization being the future. You have things like chainlink technology, tokenization of all assets coming onto the crypto chains. You have Goldman Slugs, the bug overlord, bug worshippers themselves, part of the deep state. Of course, don't tell anybody at that one. I mean, it's world's worst kept secret. By the way, Goldman Slugs, friends, they're part owners of the US Fed as well. You just can't find that public information. Okay. It doesn't take a genius to figure out how these people have like 15 guys in government coming in like every month, for example. Okay, so Goldman Slugs as well. They're tokenizing 3 assets. Probably going to do something to do with Ethereum mainnet because it works. Also, probably something to do with Chainlink. That's the technology being used. So you can see all of these bullish undertones. By the way, if the global liquidity index goes to poop, we'll go to zero anyway. But it's not going to, because you and I, friends, we just got a peanut brain. We just got our squeaky chairs and our straight postures, and we got very, very sharp elbows, but that's all we have. They have a 100-year, multi-generational power structure, generational wealth type of environment that they have to navigate, and they have to make sure that they don't lose all that power. So in a nutshell, they basically have a lot more to lose than us. That's why they have to keep printing money. If they don't print money, the fiat system implodes. There's not enough currency units. They literally can't. They've spent, there's too much debt out there for the claims. That's pretty much it. Okay, now, we've also seen, friends, the Russell 2000, so US small caps, it's now 9% away from all-time high. We also see that recently shooting up. Bang, bang, bang. Beautiful. So we actually have this basically lead lag. And I'm going to show you this very, very lovely chart here. If you zoom into them, this is pretty much what it looked like. See this Russell 2000, friends, when I posted this, it started shooting up. Bang, 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 bang. There you go. And we're still here. So this is beautiful. Double thumbs up. That's what we want to see. Mr. Russell, the small cap shit coins of US of A. That's like the final liquidity bucket. So why are they coming into the Russell? It's because they're like, oh, the big market cap coins, stocks, they're just coins, bro. They're imaginary coins. You don't even get anything from them. You get imaginary claims. They're basically too expensive now, so they're slowing down. So we're moving into the next phase of the cycle. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Now, all of these things, friends, is beautiful, isn't it? We have all of these following up. Now, this is the Global Liquidity Index, and you have basically this sine wave. That's just like a nice smoothing of it, but it's every 4 years. And if you notice, around here, friends, so it's not perfect, okay? It is not perfect whatsoever, but it does move in these cycles, okay? Global Liquidity Index, and that lighter blue is the long-term cycle. So this Global Liquidity Index, you see it peaks around, 2021, which is where we have our Bitcoin cycle as well. We had another peak here, which was 2017, but, it was lower high, but that's pretty much what happens. It comes down. So that's why this cycle, the up part, crypto goes up, but you don't know how much. And then the down part happens, crypto goes down. Once again, you don't know how much. So we can get the direction. We don't know how far things will go. You got that? Right, you got that as well. Okay, by the way, Bitcoin was launched here. This is Bitcoin, okay? It's first part of the cycles. And as it keeps going forward, we move now. Now, what I'm going to do now, friends, is play for you a clip because that global liquidity index, friends, that is very, very important. You see this global liquidity index? And I'm just going to let the Godfather, so Mikey Howell, he's going to basically speak about what it all comes down to and just the thinking about it. And just to you know, show you a quick summary, he's going to talk about things like, you know, the central bank. It starts with the central bank balance sheet and then using these different indexes. And it's basically, friends, what we've come down to realize is that in 2008, the world economy died. Now it's on life support. Now all the central banks, they're colluding. They have to print together to pay off debts against each other. Then they retract liquidity when inflation gets too much. So they're basically like in and out, just breathing one along each other. And everything is correlated now. Everything. There's no more diversification anymore because this is end of times money printer stuff. Why? That's because, friends, the money that's coming out of the money printer, it's useless. And so as soon as they turn the money printer on, people start allocating units because they're front running the collapse, but it's going to get faster and faster slowly over time. Starts slow, but finally people will realize, oh, everything in the print, I've got to go buy this, as you can pretty much see. Okay, so let's start. We're just going to show you how Mikey basically discovered it and everything. Let's go.
Sullivan.
Yeah. No, they like to take position, that was for sure.
So let's talk about liquidity frameworks now, how you've evolved it and how you're using it nowadays and some of the key metrics. And then we'll talk about where we're both seeing liquidity and talk through some of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, what we do and how we understand liquidity is basically money has a hierarchy. So it's a question of understanding, you know, how that hierarchy evolves. And what you've got, if you think of it in terms of a pyramid, or maybe an inverted pyramid, what you've got on the apex of the pyramid is basically central bank balance sheets, or let me be more precise, the liquidity creating parts of the central bank balance sheet, because it's not just the balance sheet that's critical. Then you've got to factor in what can be maybe borrowed offshore. So you've got to think about, certainly it was a relevant element maybe 10 years ago, the Eurodollar markets. They've sort of been eclipsed in many ways in the last decade, but they may well come back in a different guise. So in other words, those offshore deposits. And then you've also got to start to wrap in collateral, because certainly since the GFC, collateral has been a very important part of any liquidity creating process. Now, on that apex, what you've got is a pyramid that grows, and the base of the pyramid consists of private sector liquidity. And that private sector liquidity is really a function of the apex, if you like, the central bank balance sheet and the collateral. And you have a collateral multiplier or a shadow banking multiplier that effectively energizes that core money and drives it into credit globally, which is what we think of as global liquidity. So that's what we tend to look at. Now, if I have to drill down and say, well, okay, I'm on a desert island, I've got to choose maybe three things to look at. What are the three most important things? I would say number one is what the Federal Reserve is doing with its liquidity injections. The Fed is clearly the preeminent central bank worldwide. Secondly, though, you've got to look at the People's Bank of China. People's Bank of China is critical to understanding the China's footprint in the world economy. And we know that is, effectively, without mixing metaphors, the elephant in the room. So China has got a huge footprint in terms of the world economy, and the PBOC largely controls that. And then you've got a third factor, which is really understanding how collateral markets work. And one of the best ways to gauge the impact of collateral is to look at something like bond volatility measures, such as the MOVE. So if you've got three traffic lights, let's say the Fed, the PBOC, and the MOVE index, if you've got an expanding Fed balance sheet, an expanding liquidity injection by the PBOC, and a MOVE, in other words, bond volatility that is shrinking or going down, then that's a recipe for very strong global liquidity.
So I think the key thing, why this matters to people, is because...
So, friends, you see that? I basically drew it here as well. And he's got another thing like bond. Let's just write bond volatility. That's pretty much it. So, bond volatility. So, I'm sure there's like some sort of like just basically pathway. If you go, okay, bonds are going down. Why are they going down? Okay, because they're selling off stuff. And then some, he's got some path out here. But that's pretty much it. So, he started with that inverse pyramid, right? Now, you don't need to actually know the specifics of it. I just want you to know this is how it basically happens. So you want to know, why do we actually go up in crypto? What's happening? I know they're building stuff, but why is it do people only notice to like pay attention to crypto when the number goes up? Why? Aren't you always curious? Well, we're discovering it together, you and me, friends. So it starts with this inverted pyramid, right? So this printer should come to central bank. So the money printer comes in and it expands the central bank, the big fat part of the pyramid. That's their base. Well, it's inverted, it's on top, right? And what it's basically saying is it then flows down. This is not the euro currency, it's Eurodollar. So the Eurodollar is offshore US bank bill stuff, denominated in USD. So it's sitting around the rest of the world. The Eurodollar, okay? So if you listen to Jeff Snyder and stuff, it's like one of the biggest shadow banking things out there. So it starts with the central banks, and then it flows on. So events, they look, I don't want to tell you, but you already know. This is how a lot of the money gets moved around out there around the world, okay? So, you know, this the offshore Eurodollar, right? Not all of these are accounted. You see, straight away. So isn't it a coincidence that as soon as the central bank prints money, who's the first guy they sent it to? Oh, all the shadow dudes where you can't trace everything. All you know is that money got printed. And they give it to these banks. You don't know what happens to them next. You have to trust they each keep their inventory system honest. Yeah, totally honest, right? And then he says he goes and moves its way to collateral. Now, that's the third part. Now, that collateral, by the way, I hate to use the P word, but it's a load of poop. You want to know why? You're thinking collateral Bitcoin. You're thinking collateral gold. Their collateral is just other bonds. It's other treasury bills. So your mouse should be hitting the floor. You're like, wait a minute. You just got a self-closed, drain-circling Ponzi here. Yes, that's exactly it, friends. And for that, we'll play some nice pump music. Yes, that's right. That's the system. That's literally the system. The central bank prints money, as you get to see. Remember the top of this structure up the top? The central bank prints money, friends. It goes down to their bills and all their euro stuff, and they go move it around. Now, collateral, it moves around again to the collateral. Oh, the collateral now goes up. Remember, that's important, but the collateral goes up, okay, in all these banks. So, for example, friends, if I'm a bank and you gave me 1 Bitcoin, okay, that's your collateral. Now imagine Bitcoin went to $20 million. You can now borrow off me a lot more money, and then you can go and buy other stuff. You see what's happening here? Well, their collateral is poop, but it's their poop. You and we can't touch their collateral. So that's actually how it's trickling down. You see, it finally now when we say collateral, first it starts with their bank bill trash collateral. Then it moves to the government bonds, pretty much the same thing, okay, because they're all priced off each other. Then after the government bonds, I'm sure, right, what's the next steps, right? You have stock market stuff, real estate stuff, because all the loans are made off those collateral. So, for example, if you are in Americana, okay, shout out to all my Americana friends, if you go get a mortgage from a bank, they technically don't have all the money there all the time, even though it's funny. What do you mean have all the money? But they press a digit. They press a keyboard button. I've got all the money. Okay, let's pretend that it's actually scarce when it's not, but they don't have all the money there all the time. They'll go get another loan from somewhere else, right? So when they're getting a loan from somewhere else, their collateral sits there. But that's how they actually get to borrow and lend out more. That's how they control all this money supply. There's like so many steps along the way. Now, it's just, it is basically, it's not scarce. It's just printed like paper. It's poopy. It's just, there's a lot of systems along the way. A lot of insiders. Remember, you and I are outsiders, friends. You and I don't get to touch any of that. And guess what? They're all charging each other like, oh, here's 0.1 of a basis point. And then swip it around. Okay, we'll charge you this fee. Interest on interest on interest on interest everywhere. And they're all taxing it. And there, my friends, is how you have a system where the central bank on top, okay, so the central bank on top, they print money. How are they printing 5% of the money supply? But there's only, when we finally get to the workers, how come the population only gets a 3% wage increase every year? Why? Why is 3% wages and 3% reported inflation, but 5% got printed? You go, oh, they're robbing 2% every year. Yeah. Do 2% of whatever the hell the currency supplies. Yeah. Do 2% of $1 trillion every year, friends. There you go. Okay, so 20 billion is just getting thrown. By the way, it's more than that. It's literally more than that. It's 2% every single year. They're just taxing on everyone. Do you see why, friends? whenever there's a crisis, everyone's like, yep, just print money, because they know. Okay, so this is very important. Now, he also mentioned there's another wing arm, the PBOC. Okay, so the PBOC, why? It's China, friends. It's People's Bank of China. It's China is very, very large now in the world. America, I think China's like 20% of the world GDP. It's like huge now. And maybe America's like 30%. So China's huge now. Big. China's big. So their currency stimulus, it's enormous, okay? You also have bond volatility on the right. So what he basically says is you add all of these up and their net effects, and that's where we have like this index, okay? We have this index, you know, it just does a range. Hey, you going up? No, you're going down. You're going up, you're going down. What are you doing? It's like the rate of change of it over time. Now, I just want to show you as well, you're probably wondering, what does the global liquidity index for China look like? Well, it's the same thing, man. It's literally the same thing. They're all moving in sync. You see that up and down, up and down. It's got the long-term cycle. So as you discover though, interestingly enough, over time, it's becoming more printed. Like, oh, you're coming more like a wave. And I hope it continues. I think, actually not hope, sorry. Misspoke there. You don't hope it continues, but that actually means we're getting closer and closer to the fiat debt system. But yeah, I mean, you kind of do hope your bag's pumped to the moon. So it is what it is, okay? So that's how you get to see it, right, friends? So that's the global liquidity index. And that, my friends, is pretty much what is governing our bags pumping up in crypto. Okay, so once again, remember you had central bank on top. You press the money printer. The central bank is their balance sheet. Okay, they increase their balance sheet. And then what's it moved now down to? The Eurodollar. That's what Jeff Snyder speaks about. The Eurodollar, which is just bank bills all around the world. Then they go up in price. Okay, and then that affects the collateral. And then the collateral goes up in price. Now, if your collateral goes up in price, you can then borrow more. You're like, wow, I'm free to borrow more money because, you know, you've added so much more borrowing purchase power, but you didn't do anything. You didn't have to work for it. It's just the banks. That's why the central bank pushes the button and you go, hey, bank over there, you can now borrow more money. You used to be able to borrow like $100 million a month. Now you can borrow $130 million a month. That extra $30 million the bank can borrow, that is like where they say, oh, we can give out $30 million loans in the month now. We can actually hand it out to the population and they can go and buy a house, right? So that's exactly how it works out. Now, obviously, when they go buy the house, and it's not just buying a house. People borrow money for businesses as well to go build capital equipment. People borrow money to go degen on stocks and do everything else. You see, so it's all working together. And you can see that's the global liquidity index in a nutshell, friends. Now, the interesting part of all of these, so you see that, you go, wow, interesting. Go, yeah, that's just the debt fiat system. That's the Ponzi system. But we've now hit a point where that global liquidity index, it's become more pronounced. Why? Because all the central banks who are meant to be separate from each other, they're not even bothering to hide it. They're just working with each other one for one. Because the total debt to GDP of the world is like 400%. So the debt system, it can't pay itself back then. Like, friends, literally, if you owe $400,000 on a credit card loan, but you're making $100,000 a year, you literally can't pay it off. You can't pay it off. The interest is too much, okay? You're getting destroyed. So, and they know that. But that's why we have the digital dollar, the CBDC that they've already built. They're waiting for the next crisis. Now, we don't know what the next crisis will be. Some like people who are like really pessimistic say, oh, it's going to be a world war. Maybe it's not going to be a world war, friends. Maybe it's just going to be one of the planned BS cyber attacks. Maybe it's just going to be a financial crisis. Maybe one of the countries has to take the fall where a country goes like bankrupt or something. I don't know. Maybe Japan has problems. Who knows? Something happens that's going to make the existing system look real dangerous. And then they're going to go, oh, come and usher yourselves into the new system. We built it for you. Yay. I mean, it's not surprising, friends. I mean, like, when did they took out Donald Trump's head, right? The deep state, you know, friends. Donald Trump in February of this year said, I don't like CBDCs. They are dangerous for humans. All right, so let's get rid of them. Donald Trump said that in Feb this year. Just telling you, okay? So they're like, well, can't screw that plan. So coincidence or not, you tell me. By the way, if you think it's a coincidence, I mean, I've got a bridge to sell you. So now we know, friends, see, we're moving towards this world where they turn on money printer, we're hypersensitive up, they turn off money printer, everything collapses. But we're actually making higher floors in crypto. All right. So as you can see, if you look at obviously the crypto prices over time, and you can just see it with like, Bitcoin monthly chart. Now, of course, friends, it is just Bitcoin and the whole industry as well. So Bitcoin, the monthly chart, see, we're just making these higher floors over time. See that industry of crypto going up. It used to be worth 1 billion, then 100 billion, then 1 trillion, now 2 to 3 trillion. As that's happening, we are making higher floors, but it's really volatile. It's really volatile. Why? Because when they print money, all the currency units come in, and then they take off the money printer. All the weak hands get out because it's just ridiculous, but strong hands remain. Just the strong hands remain. Then, because crypto's wild, wild west, we don't have the Ponzi system of the pensioners to come keep DCA buying. Like the stock market has 60 billion per month coming in, fresh money every month without fail. Doesn't matter what the economy is doing, they're just buying because everyone's working and they can't take out their money. So they have that over there. We don't have that in crypto. So when we get collapsed down, it's literally just the strong hands. But it's always strong hands. There's always strong hands. That's why there's volatility on the way down. The weak hands get out. But then we make a new higher floor later on. And so that's why, friends, in crypto, the only way to make it, I mean, you really got to believe. You really got to believe. Yeah, we play some angel music as well. You really got to believe. But we can see it, man. There's strong hands. People who say, like, man, I'm not selling Bitcoin at $100, $1,000, 10,000, 50,000, at 100,000. There'll be plenty of people still holding it. No. I'm never going back to the old system because we just have a floor of strong hands that are building up over time until we hit the point where, it's going to be a big issue. But we'll see. The big issue will be we're too big and powerful. And look, I'm just guessing, forecasting in the future. Perhaps a real issue with crypto will be that we know too much about how the system works. See, it's okay to know a lot. The problem, though, is when you have a platform. When your platform speaks to a lot of people and you're naming names and you're talking to the population and you have like millions and millions of followers and you're kind of telling them about how the Coconut Intelligence Agency do their stuff and the fancy bananas investigators. Once you start throwing stuff like that into the population with names and evidence of all these, they're kind of like, got to talk to that guy, Well, that's where Andrew Tate made that video, how they make you sell your soul. They try to censor you first. So they don't obviously throw you off the building at the start. It's just first, okay, hey, censor him on YouTube. Okay, so basically, he has to stop talking about all this stuff and telling the population the names and the specifics and trying to inform them too much, right? Then they try to drain you with the money in many, many, many ways. If that doesn't work, they try everything else. And they have the paid shield influencers, which is, all the other people who will work for the government on the payroll of the government. And then obviously, if that eventually doesn't work and you're too powerful, then they'll come and basically take out your life, But they don't want to do that. They want to take basically every single step before them just to make you learn a lesson. However, before that moment, friends, we don't need to even get to that moment. We know with this global liquidity index, when they turn on the money printer, crypto, we start reacting really, really well with that global money printer. Okay, so it tells you that our growth rate is really, really good. Or it's like the product market fit of crypto is really good. Why? Because when they print money, everyone in the world, they know that crypto exists. They want to keep throwing in the useless fiat into crypto. They want to grab crypto more and more and more. So that's pretty much what's been going on until it's going to hit a point where we mature more. We are maturing over time, but hopefully by that point, you're like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times more wealthy. We'll see about that. So there you go, friends. In a nutshell, that's the global liquidity index. Shout out to Mikey Howell for, putting it all together, the concepts. They've been working on it for such a long time, but also in this game, it's not just enough to know this global liquidity index. That's basically your 4-year cycle. That is your 4-year cycle. The halvening it's just by a stroke of divine luck, intervention, God, I don't know what it is, spiritual, greater entity being, Satoshi made the 4-year halvening exactly for 3.5 to 4 years, and it all just lines up with Bitcoin and crypto. It's just spooky. It's spooky. It's all moving in there, exactly in sync. Like, what are the chances, man? You just think, friends, you gotta understand, like, the chances of the Bitcoin halvening landing in the middle of the cycle each time, and then you have the up part coming after that. I mean, it's crazy. You can even see it right now. Look at this. So look at this. Global liquidity index has the up part after the Bitcoin halvening. Bitcoin halvening in here. global up part, you know? So every single time, 1, 2, 3 times before, we have the up part of the global liquidity cycle. So that's why everyone thought for a long time, oh my gosh, the 4-year halvening has magic. No, it's not the magic. The magic is actually, it's more than that. The magic is the global liquidity index. Not really magic. It's just that, yes, everything that you believe in crypto, where they're just going to keep printing money, it's actually happening right now. So what do we do from now? We stay turbo long in crypto. So many things to get bullish on, but now you have a deeper understanding as to why it all works and how the puzzles connect. Like, subscribe, belly button, or catch you in the next one.